So my main job title for probably the last year or so at Mount Carmel was, breakfast duty. I had breakfast duty. I cooked breakfast for 60, 30, 60, 90, 100 people, whoever was there at the time. And I got really good at it. And I got really good at learning everyone who would come through the line, what they liked. I could make, because David used to tell me, look, don't make eggs to order, just make a big pot of scrambled eggs and serve people scrambled eggs. And I told him, but it's no harder for me to make these eggs to order than it is to make a big pot of scrambled eggs. So Floracita Sonobe, Sita, had a medical condition. I think it was hepatitis C or something. And she had a strict diet because of that. So she had to eat poached eggs. So I learned how to make poached eggs, and I would make her a poached egg every morning. It only takes about 30 seconds to make. And I really got used to what people would like, how they would like their, if we had millet or oatmeal, if they liked tahini versus peanut butter. So tahini is a sauce made out of like a sesame seed or something. I didn't really care for it myself. I preferred the peanut butter. But it was a way to get some protein. We had to get some protein in with our breakfast cereal that we had. We'd have other breakfasts too, but for the most part, it was really common to just grab a bowl of an oatmeal, or a millet was one of them that we had, to just fill up your belly so you can actually get the starch you needed to work throughout the day or do whatever you had to do. And that was really towards the end when we had a lot of people building on the roof, nailing in the roof shingles or whatever they were doing. And they had to get ready to work, so I had to make sure they were well fed. The men got bigger portions than the women. The men needed bigger portions than the women. And to this day, I have such a hard time with restaurants who will serve me and a man the exact same amount of food. And I'm like, I can't eat but maybe half of it. And it's just a waste. I just wish society would realize that you shouldn't feed people more than what they need and stop charging them so much. But everybody had a trait that you would get to know. Lisa Farris was a hard worker and a really kind person. And I knew that if I needed something, she would come help me. She would be there. I would be working in the dining room, rearranging, because I'm an organizer. I'd be rearranging big cans of vegetables. And if I threw my hip out, I knew immediately I could go to Clive Doyle and get an adjustment because he was a really good chiropractor. Everybody had something that made them special. Lorraine Sylvia, the thing I remember most about Lorraine, besides her really long, beautiful long hair, was a scarf material that she would wrap around her head like a bandana. And she did that a lot. Floracita was short, sweet, short, beautiful long black hair from Hawaii. Scott Sonobe was so much taller than her, they just looked like Mutt and Jeff. Jaydean had glasses, but she was a little rounder in the face, but she was a very strong, broad-shouldered, really healthy, not just in her body, but in her heart and soul. You knew she was a really healthy woman. And Margarida Vaega, she was just always smiling. I don't think you could wipe that smile off of her face for anything. She just really enjoyed life. And her daughter was Joann, and Joann was always smiling as well. And you just couldn't figure out, what did she just do? What did she just get into? Because she's got to be smiling for a reason, but she was just a very happy person. Julie Martinez was quiet. Julie kept to herself and her immediate inner circle, so I didn't know her as well. But I was familiar with her children because they would come out and play with mine. Joseph especially, and Crystal. The Jones kids, we had Serenity, and then we had Chica and Little One. Cyrus and Star. Star was just a vibrant, so I had to start with Cyrus first. Cyrus was a pistol. Cyrus could get into trouble in a heartbeat, and he could get out of it just as fast and hide, and he didn't do anything wrong. He was a pistol. But Star was like the complete opposite. She was so sweet, so kind, and never got in anyone's way at all. Joshua, Sylvia, was loving. He wasn't rambunctious. He didn't act out. He was not quiet, though, either. He enjoyed himself and he had fun. But the most thing I remember about Joshua is that he just would hug people, and he was just very loving of everyone. The Jones boys, Mark and Kevin, they were pretty much my boys' best friends, and they hung out with them the most, and they were very toy-oriented. They would play with this toy or that toy and try to figure out who's going to come up with the rules for the game. That was a big thing. Who's going to decide the rules and then not play by the rules. But Peter Gent was the individual who caught my son because they had been riding bikes and putting little pieces of paper clothespined to the side of the back tire so the spokes would hit it so it would make noise. And that was fun, and nobody said anything to them about it. But my oldest son at one point found a grasshopper and decided to use the grasshopper like he had the piece of paper, which killed the grasshopper. And Peter Gent's the one that caught him doing that and said to him, you know, did you put a grasshopper in your spokes? And my son lied. He said he didn't do it. So that was the beginning of a lying reputation we ended up having to fix. But Peter came to me and told me that Scott had lied, and I worked with Scott, and he eventually told me that yes, he had done it. And then I had to explain to him what the Bible says about all the different animals, because grasshopper is definitely one of those animals that you can eat. So I told him if he ever did it again, he would have to eat the grasshopper. So he didn't do that again.